Hi, this is Brandon from Watches on You. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Zenith El Primero Captain Chronograph. Right off the bat, I want to remind you we're here at JB Hudson Jewelers in Minneapolis, Minnesota, who is currently selling this piece pre-owned. So now let's dive right into this watch. So this watch is completely made out of stainless steel. It's got a 42mm diameter, so it's a pretty typical size for just your classic chronograph, and this definitely is more of a classic looking piece. It's not a heritage piece by any means, but it just has a very classic look to it. It could be worn as a dress watch, could be worn as a sports watch. Probably more on the dressy side given that it comes on a alligator strap, but I think that, I really do like the design. I especially like the red tip on the chronograph seconds hand, as you see there. So perhaps the main feature of this watch is, of course, the Zenith El Primero movement, which was developed by Zenith in the mid-1900s to basically be one of the first automatic chronographs. And this is very significant in that a lot of people complained about having to wind your chronograph every time you want to use it. And the chronographs, this was developed kind of in the 60s, and the chronographs around that time, such as the Omega Speedmaster Professional, are hand-wound, of course. So given that it's not a hand-wound piece, obviously it winds with the motion of your wrist, which is very convenient as you use the watch. And it could actually, especially this piece, could be someone's only real luxury watch. And I think it's an excellent choice. And it's an excellent alternative to the Omega Speedmaster. If you're more of a sporty person, you'd probably want something with a steel bracelet, but so now I'll actually show the movement, and the finishing is absolutely fantastic, completely blows the Speedmaster Professional's movement out of the water with regards to finishing. You have beautiful Côte de Genève and perlage all over it, and keep in mind that this watch is currently available here at JB Hudson for $3,650. And the condition on this is pre-owned. I could not find a scratch on the entire thing, and I'm not trying to exaggerate. This is one of the most pristine pre-owned watches I've actually ever seen, and I'm not saying that to help them sell the watch. We don't actually work for JB Hudson. I'm just saying I'm amazed by this watch and actually quite surprised by it. It almost makes me want to buy it. But it looks absolutely fantastic. And one more thing about that movement, it is a 50-hour power reserve, which is above my 48-hour kind of requirement. And given that it's automatic, that power reserve should never really be a problem for you. So now I'll demonstrate the function of the chronograph, and it functions just like a Valjoux 7750. So you push the top chronograph button to start the chronograph. The pushers feel a little bit different. They feel kind of like a Patek Philippe chronograph in that it doesn't have as much of a defined click as like an Omega chronograph. They're a little bit softer, but they have kind of a sharp click, if that makes any sense. They feel very, very nice nonetheless. So I'll stop the chronograph there. And going over the subdials just quickly, you can see you have your minutes subdial on the right here, your hours subdial on the bottom, and then the running seconds on the left. So I stop the chronograph, now I reset with the bottom pusher, and it just flies back to normal. And one especially interesting feature about this movement is that it has a 10 beat per second second hand, and that is much smoother than pretty much any other watch that you'd see typically. For example, a Rolex Submariner has an 8 beat per second second hand, so I'll actually start the chronograph so you can see that a little bit better. But it runs absolutely beautifully and very smooth. So now moving on to kind of a wrist shot here. So the double deployant clasp that's on this, again, it's kind of a dressy feature, but it's a very high quality double deployant clasp. It actually has a brushed and polished surfaces on the buckle there. So I'll put it on my wrist. And before I get comments about this, I'm getting kind of sick of it, about my use of one glove. That is to make the wrist shot look more normal, because if you try to put a watch on over a glove, it just looks kind of silly. So before anyone comments on that, just know that that's the reason. So as you can see, the 42mm case size, actually, it wears kind of like a 40mm. It would look great on pretty much anyone's wrist. Even if you had a really small wrist, it would probably look fine. I really like how this watch looks overall. If you like this video, please remember to subscribe and share. Thank you.